Well, hi, everybody. It's Thursday, August 12th. Welcome to another edition of our Facebook Live Global Travel Update. Peter Greenberg here with you. And of course, you can always send your questions in. Happy to hear from you. And if you can't get them answered today, or you can't send them in today, you can always email them to peter@petergreenberg.com. We'll either answer them online or on our radio show, Eye on Travel, which airs every Saturday around the country. Check your local listings. And if you can't find a station in your neighborhood, not a problem. Go to our website with the imaginative name petergreenberg.com, and we stream it live on the air starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Time every Saturday. So much news to talk about, but first let me tell you where I am. This nondescript background, I could be anywhere. But in continuing our theme of teas, last week was Turkey. This week, Temecula, California. I'm at the South Coast Winery and Spa and Hotel and Resort. It's grape country here. It's the other wine country in California, over 40 wineries here. In fact, I'll be broadcasting from here in a couple of weeks, as a matter of fact. But most importantly, so much news to talk about. Oh, yeah, I mentioned wine. Here, see? There you go. Now you know I got grapes. All right, now let's move on. Let's start with two words that are now part of our language every day: duct tape. We saw it again this week on a flight from Maui to Los Angeles. A 13-year-old kid getting violent on the plane, trying to kick out a window, being restrained by passengers and flight attendants. And not only was he duct taped to his seat, the plane had to make a diversion back to Maui. You know, on a Maui to Los Angeles flight, after a certain amount of time, you're beyond the point of no return. There are no alternate airports. So if you have to return to land in Maui after a takeoff with a full flight, you're dumping fuel. The diversion costs to the airline alone are probably in 5 figures. Every time a plane makes an unscheduled landing, that's what you're talking about, right? Misconnected passengers, misconnected bags, flight crews that time out on their legal time, people out of sequence, planes out of cycle, no revenue. It's a mess. So we're not only talking about a public safety issue here, we're now talking about an economic one. This is one of the few cases where alcohol was not involved. The kid was just a little nuts. It adds to the question of at what point do we go, do we make these planes like much more restraint device as opposed to just fasten your seatbelt. But anyway, it's another duct tape special this week. It's also been another week of great flight delays, cancellations, and inconvenience for thousands of passengers. Spirit Airlines at one point canceling up to 50% of their entire flight schedule due to what they called operational issues. I'll get back to that. American Airlines did the same thing. They claimed it was weather related. Well, if you're canceling 270 flights and 120 of those flights are canceled because you can't find a flight crew, that's another storm, right? Nothing to do with Mother Nature. It's called lack of planning. And here's what's happening. Airlines have doubled and tripled down on their schedules for the summer because they knew travel was coming back faster than a lot of other people thought. Southwest Airlines, for example, in a given year, normally, how many new routes would they add? Maybe one. This year, it's over 18. Frontier, Spirit, Allegiant, 22 new routes. Who knew? I didn't even know that many planes. So the point is, if you're going to double and triple down, and you're going to fill the planes right now, but can you crew the planes? And the answer, quite frankly, is no, you can't. And so for the next 3 weeks, it's going to be madness out there. And hopefully it will stabilize around the 10th or the 15th of September when kids go back to school. We're all going to go back to work, right? Well, maybe not, but a lot of us will be going back to our offices. Things will tend to stabilize. And already Southwest Airlines is reporting, due to that and also the fears about the Delta variant, that they're seeing a huge drop-off in future bookings for the third quarter. In fact, they're even saying they might not even get to a profit in the third quarter, which for Southwest Airlines is saying a lot. Now, the third quarter usually tends to stabilize when kids go back to school and the fall rolls around. But this is a huge drop-off. So for all those new routes that the airlines added, I mean, I've been joking for weeks about Bozeman, right? Everybody's going to Bozeman. When October 1 rolls around, let's see how many flights are going to Bozeman. Actually, when September 1st rolls around, let's see how many flights are going to Bozeman. So things will stabilize, but for the next 3 weeks, it's going to be a little nuts. This is the week that Canada opened up to vaccinated Americans. You can fly across, you can't still drive across, and there's testing requirements involved. The protocols are still there. But the good news is you don't have to quarantine and you can go. Now, can they come here yet? No. Can Europeans come here yet? No. Reciprocity is a bitch, especially when they haven't figured out which vaccines they're going to accept. And right now, they haven't come to a decision on AstraZeneca and the Sino vaccine. And until that happens, ain't going to happen. So that's what's happening there. Then, huge issue here, we've talked about it for weeks, and that is cruise lines and vaccinations and the state of Florida. As you know, the state of Florida passed a law that the governor signed that basically said no entity, including cruise lines, could require vaccinations as a condition of delivering their service. And in fact, for any violation that happened because of that, the state would fine them $5,000 per incident. Well, you don't have to do the math to know if you have a 6,000 passenger cruise ship, you multiply that by 5,000, you're in the millions. And so one cruise line, Norwegian Cruise Holdings, they sued the state of Florida and the Florida Surgeon General, claiming that that law was hampering their ability to provide a safe and healthy environment for their passengers. And earlier this week, a U.S. District Court judge ruled in Norwegian's favor. And what that means, they have an injunction now against the state. Norwegian can sail their ships now and require 100% vaccination. They're already doing it with their crew, they're already doing it with their officers, and they're now going to do it with passengers. State of Florida is going to appeal. This may take a while, but for the short term, that's the deal. And by the way, on the radio show this week, on Saturday, I'll be talking with the chairman and CEO of Norwegian, Frank Del Rio, to get his thoughts on the victory for him, but also what it really means once the state of Florida appeals. And they are going to appeal. This isn't going away anytime soon. So we'll talk about that. A rise in cases in Hawaii means that there are new restrictions now, COVID-19 restrictions in Hawaii. Doesn't stop your ability from going there. You're not going to be quarantined, but the ability of restaurants to operate at more than 50% capacity and large gatherings of groups have now been restricted. So stay tuned on that. We'll have on our website some listings of the new changes in rules and requirements. But the good news is, despite the level 4 advisories that the U.S. State Department and the CDC continue to issue, the do not travel advisories, Americans are still traveling, especially the vaccinated Americans, because vaccination is a condition to be able to go to the European Union and to go to many other countries. But they're traveling, and for the most part, they're doing so safely, and they're doing so without incident. So I'm happy to report about that. Now, the biggest news, of course, is what's going to happen in the next 3 weeks because of the mask mandate, right? September 13th is the day of decision for that. And right now, every indication to me at least is that they're going to continue it. You're going to continue to have to wear your masks on flights, no exceptions, and at airports and other forms of public transportation. As a result, you're not going to see alcohol coming back on American or Southwest anytime soon. Other airlines might follow suit. But remember, let's go back to the diversion cost of having a plane having to land somewhere else because somebody is drunk and crazy on a flight. Where are they getting drunk and crazy on a flight? Not on the flight. Before they get on, they're getting tanked. They're walking on the plane already tanked, which raises the big issue of who's selling them the alcohol and where are the controls there. So it's the NFL approach. It's being considered now, right? You know that at NFL games, no liquor is sold in the fourth quarter for obvious reasons, too many fights. What's being considered now is a real tough deal for airport retailers. It'll be tied to your boarding pass if it's implemented, that no airport retailer can sell you any alcohol within 45 minutes of the boarding time listed on your boarding pass. That's short of putting breathalyzers at the jetways. So stay tuned on that. No decision's been made, but I want you to know it's being considered, and that in itself is significant. Let's go down and talk to you some of your questions here from Sandy Collins, who says to transit through Madrid. I'm going to go up here, Sandy. Excuse me, I just lost you there. I'll come back, Sandy. Stay with me. Mia says hi from Southern California. Evelyn, hello. Gail, hello from a very hot Pennsylvania. Where isn't it hot? You know, last week I was in both Turkey and Greece, where it was about 100 degrees. But what was worse, as you know, the raging fires in both of those countries. And as some of you know, I'm a fireman in New York. I have been since I'm 18. It was very frustrating for me to see the situation developing in both of those countries because of the woefully inadequate way their firemen have been trained, but even worse, they don't have the tools. They don't have the equipment that they absolutely and desperately need to fight it. Turkey doesn't even have an airborne tanker plane. And you don't just need one tanker plane, you need 30 to do relays, right? They haven't figured out that the sea is a source of unlimited water supply, and they haven't learned how to draft from there and then put it through their pumping systems. So it was really sad to see what was going on there and is still going on there. And I hope that this will be a huge wake-up call to devote the resources and the money needed to not only give these guys the training they need, but the equipment that they can use once they have the training, because it's going to happen again. Greetings from the University, Peter Coe from the beautiful University of Wisconsin campus in Madison. It is indeed beautiful, and what a great time of the year to be in Madison. Hello from Charlotte. Good morning from Patrick Cooney. Okay, and as I said before, I'm coming to you from Temecula, California, where I'm speaking right now. The balloons are already in the air. It's a beautiful scene. Sun City says hi from Lowell. I fly to Kenya next weekend on Qatar Airways. I cannot get Qatar to answer the phone. Their website is vague about COVID testing requirements. I'm starting to get nervous about even getting a COVID test here in Texas. The lines are insane. Well, guess what? Get a COVID test. You're going to need it within 72 hours of getting on a plane. That's a Kenya requirement too. And when you get to Kenya, you're probably going to get tested again within the first 3 days of your arrival there. And don't forget, 72 hours before you come back, you'll need to get that COVID-19 negative test before you can come back to the United States. Don't worry about getting Qatar on the phone. Just understand, and you can go to our website, petergreenberg.com, to find out what the requirements are for each country, Kenya included. Hello from Houston to Zach, where it's got to be hot in Houston today. Good morning from Chatsworth. From Tanya, it's great that you will be at the Dallas Travel and Adventure Show. I am looking forward to seeing you there. I will be there on September 12th. I'll be speaking at the Dallas Adventure and Travel Show, so check your local listings there. From Lorraine, I booked a resort for this weekend in San Diego, and they are happy to announce their resort fees at $50 a day. So because they've disclosed them and we confirmed the reservation, can we dispute still? No, you can't dispute it. They've disclosed it. But what you can do is negotiate it. The fact that they disclosed it doesn't mean you have to live with it. First of all, find out, what does this ridiculous $50 resort fee include? A towel? A view of the pool? What? I really want to know what it includes. If the value is not there, then what are you paying for? Look, I'm not opposed to any hotel or resort making a profit. That's not the issue here. The issue is failure to disclose and trying to hide what you want to charge for the room in a resort fee so that you're competitive on your official rate to get people like you, Lorraine, to book the trip in the first place. So get them on the phone, talk to a manager, don't talk to a reservations agent, and ask them to explain to you what the resort fee covers, what it doesn't cover, and is there a way to opt out or just individually customize what you do want? Because if the resort fee covers 2 bottles of water, a towel, and a flip-flop, and you don't need the water, and you don't need the towel, and you don't need the flip-flop, and you can bring your own towel, let's work it out. But I just hate the idea of them not disclosing what's even included in the resort fee, let alone not disclosing the resort fee. Here's one from Sandy. We're going to Italy in September with stops in JFK and Madrid. Is KN95 protective enough? Well, first of all, I'm assuming you've been vaccinated. And if you have, the KN95 is fine. Just remember, they don't allow the masks with vents. They don't like the alligator masks. They just want the N95 or the KN95, and you'll be fine. Greetings from Rocky Top, Tennessee. We love Rocky Top. Here's from Laura. Traveling to London and Paris, I'm vaccinated. Do I need to get a COVID test before traveling? And do I have to do the same from London to Paris? My understanding, and I'll check in on this for you because the rules are changing every day. I do believe you're going to need a rapid or a PCR test to go to London, even if you've been vaccinated. And you're may have to do one within 3 days of getting there. Paris, on the other hand, that's the European Union, and I think you just have to show proof of vaccination. But we'll get that answer back for you. That's what I think right now. Okay. From Colleen Casey, I'm watching from my Hotel de Louvre in Paris. Well, congratulations. And of course, thanks to Samantha Brown and her husband, Kevin O'Leary. We love Samantha and Kevin, and I'm glad to see they're in Bordeaux, as a matter of fact. And that's great. I'm glad that's working out for you, Colleen. Hi from Lake Worth. That's from Roseanne. Hawaii updated this morning. Governor says there are no plans to change the Safe Travels program. Okay, remember, there are new regulations in place about the number of people allowed in indoor outdoor gatherings and the number of people allowed in any one restaurant as a percentage of their capacity. But if they haven't changed the Safe Travels program, then you know the drill. You know what you need to do to go to Hawaii. That hasn't changed. Hello, Mary. Mary Bemis. My fighter son-in-law is currently in the Dixie Fire till August 27th. Congratulations and thank you so much for your service. He has a trip to Cabo October 14th, which is 6.5 weeks after he's back from the fire. My daughter just checked and his passport expired. Oh boy, now we got a problem. We talked about this already, Jeanette. The backlog with passports right now is about 1.6 million passport or renewal applications. They're not going to catch up fast enough for October 14th. However, they are making some exceptions for emergency reservations. You need to call them and get one of those. Let them know what your firefighter son-in-law is doing and why he can't come right away, and get yourself an appointment. And if you have a problem with that, go ahead and email me, peter@petergreenberg.com, and let me see what I can do, because I have to warn you, it is a mess, and it's not going to get better in the next 3 to 4 months. Okay, Retza says, Temecula is just a half an hour drive from where you live. Yep, and the seasonal hot air balloons are up in the air right now. It's just gorgeous. You're right, Retza. Okay. What did I need to enter Turkey last week? An e-visa, or can you get a visa on arrival for U.S. citizens? It's a very easy thing to get. It's a visa on arrival. It costs $30. You pay it in cash. And the good news about that visa, it's good for 180 days. So you can come back. It's a multiple entry visa. In terms of COVID-19, you got to show the negative test. And of course, show your vaccination cards. Let me come back up here a second. Okay, Sandy says, do I think the PCR antigen test for vaccinated Americans returning to the U.S. will be dropped once vaccinated Canadians and Europeans are let in? No, I don't. I think we're going to live with that for the next 6 months at least. Mike says, I'm leaving for the Apex tonight. That's right. Celebrity cruises. The UK requires tests, millions of hoops to jump through just to transit. But you know what, Mike? You're a trooper. You're doing it. Please let us know what happens. Ellen says, recently back from Kenya, amazing trip, responsible and safe. If you follow the rules, you'll be okay. I've been saying that all along. I'll be heading to Tanzania in the next couple of weeks as well. So same rules apply. Okay. Sandy says, to transit through Madrid, one needs a QR code. By the way, same thing with Greece. Air France is giving incorrect information that transiting through Spain, you don't need anything. Well, now you know. Thank you, Sandy. Angie says, is all this with the cruises going to be all settled by late October? Well, wait a second. What needs to be settled with cruises? It's already settled with cruises. They're cruising. They're cruising. What hasn't been settled with cruises only applies to the state of Florida as to whether or not vaccinations will be required in order for you to get on the ship. And right now, at least in the case of Norwegian cruise lines, they are. So, but as far as whether cruise lines are sailing or not, they are. Somebody's up the road in Riverside. I just saw that. Hold on a second. We're scrolling. Oh boy. Here we go. No, you're still sending me stuff. Hold on. My goodness. Okay. Now you're up the road in Riverside. Hello from Michigan, Terry Pierce. Hello. Okay. Hello, Denise. April says, have the rental car situation eased? No, it hasn't. And it won't ease until October or November when the new fleet of cars comes in on their purchase orders. Right now, it's still a mess. Remember what I told you to do. If you're going to rent a car and you even want to do it online, it's not enough to get that confirmation on the email. And even if you print it, find the local number of the rental car franchisee in the community where you're renting the car. Call them, talk to the general manager, introduce yourself, let them know what time you're arriving, confirm that they have a confirmation on your reservation, and let them know you're going to call them the day before to confirm again, and be nice, because they're under the gun too. Okay. Let's see here. Debbie Strickland, another example of duct tape will fix that. Duct tape fixes everything. Okay, Italy is now number 3 on the CDC list, planning on a trip there in mid-September. This is from Barb Kramer Dougherty. Still go? You bet. Are you vaccinated, Barb? If you are, look, the number 3 list, remember, Under the CDC or the Department of State advisories, look, they have a do not travel advisory to Antarctica. Are you serious? What, are the penguins glowing in the dark? No. The same thing applies to Italy. A number 3 advisory means reconsider travel. All right, you're ready? Ready, Barb? Here, we're going to reconsider it together. Are we done? Okay, you're going. If you play by the rules, wear the mask where you need to wear the mask. You're vaccinated. Wash your hands often with hot water. You're going to be fine, right? Now, I can't talk about any pre-existing conditions you have or your own personal medical condition, but based on only what you told me, I don't care that it's number 3 on the CDC list. I get it. I'm reconsidering travel. Okay, ready? We're done. Based on the information you have, right? We've morphed from the concern of the vaccination level of where we're going to the vaccination level of the people who want to go, meaning you. Are you vaccinated? Are you healthy? Will you wear a mask? Will you do the testing that they may need you to do when you get there? And of course, the testing you have to do to comply with US regulations before you come home. And if the answer to that is yes, bon voyage. Okay. Nancy says, welcome to Temecula. Okay. We are nervous about this. Andy says, we are nervous about our September 23rd trip to Portugal to meet a Viking Duro cruise. What do you anticipate about canceling it? I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're going to. Look, countries have also figured this out, that it's less about their spike in cases than the revenue from healthy, vaccinated travelers. And I think once the gate is open, it stays open. Okay, Ellen says, I just returned. My test in the US was 96 hours prior to arrival in Kenya. Make sure to get a QR code from Kenya Ministry of Health. There you go. And keep a hard copy of the test results with you. My point exactly. You saw what I posted this week on Facebook. It got huge response. You want to call me old school? Call me old school. I like a paper printed boarding pass. I'm not taking my phone. Phones, I don't trust my phone. The battery could die. Their system at the airport could die. I like paper documents. Now, if you want to do something on your phone, great. But do exactly what Ellen says. Hard copy, folks. Print the hard copy and take it with you. This is not a difficult concept to embrace. All right? Let us not have technology take precedence over common sense. All right. And by the way, how many idiots have I been standing behind in line because they're fumbling with their phone because they can't figure out how to do it? Well, all the other things they could have done was just reach into your pocket, pull out the boarding pass, and get on the plane. Elizabeth Castle says, how does one get the OAG? You're referring to the official airline guide. I love this book. It's there are 3 different volumes of it, by the way, one for Europe and one for Africa, one for the Americas, and one for Asia. Actually, it's Europe and Africa together. And you can subscribe to the hard copy. Remember me with hard copy? I actually get it mailed to me every month. They also have an online version, and it's not difficult to get. However, I'm a huge fan of the book, which I carry in my carry-on bags. Now, I don't carry all 3. I carry the book that pertains to where I'm going or where I'm kind of flying from, because I can find information in that book on every single published airline flight in the world faster than I ever could do it online. I promise you I can. And that avoids a number of things, standing in anybody's line, and it avoids waiting. You can actually figure out plan B, C, and D, because you know at the end of the day, in many of our cases, we're on plan E and F. That book helps you to get there. Okay. Joy wants to know, what's the best time to purchase airfare for a vacation in the middle of May of 2022? I know you're impatient. I know you want to book it now. Please don't. You want to go 24 to 54 days out. Okay? So sometime in February, maybe early March, but no later than that, okay, of 2022. Unless you know that where you want to go in May of 2022 is going to be like a huge sporting event in that location, or a major annual convention, or something that you know is going to draw a lot of people. If it's not that, then 22 to 54 days out. Heather Barbeau, oh my God, my old pal Heather. Thank you, Heather. I mean, look, resort fees drive me nuts. The concept of it drives me nuts. The execution of resort fees drive me nuts. And the lack of transparency of resort fees drives me nuts. It's a trifecta of nuts. So you guys know what you need to do. Lorraine's going to email me about what they said about the resort fee inclusives. Tell me now, Lorraine. Email me now. Tell me. I want to know what they want to charge you, what that $50 includes. Okay? From Doug Smith, my buddy. Where are you, Doug? Tell me. Sandy Collins, we're vaccinated. We'll wear the KN95s to Italy. Good. The KN95s. Any thoughts on traveling to Cancun? I go all the time. We did 2 of our television shows there this year, as a matter of fact, earlier this year. Play by the rules, right? Look, if you walk into a bar in Cancun and there are 90 people there with no masks and you don't know if they're vaccinated or not, and they're like 6 inches apart, pick another bar. By the way, that just doesn't apply to Cancun. That applies to Chicago or Cleveland. It's the same principle. When can we expect the airlines to get back up to full strength? Doug, it depends on what you define as full strength. But in terms of staffing, November. In terms of routes, they have to settle out. And let us not forget the tendency for so many in the travel industry that are travel providers to use the pandemic as an excuse to cut service, right? One major hotel chain saying that at many of their hotels, housekeeping is now optional. And the biggest garbage reason they use for that is this, and I quote, our customers tell us they're not comfortable with having someone come in their room. Really? I'm sorry, I'm not buying it, right? It's the same thing about airlines and catering on planes, right? Don't get me started on the Biscoffs again. But the point is, if you're asking about full strength, I want to rephrase your question for you, Doug. When can we expect the airlines to get back up to full intelligence, compassion, transparency, and service? And the answer to that is, I don't know. But that's what we need. Jane Lasky says, did I get a 3rd jab? No. But I'm expecting to get a booster. I fully expect that between now and the end of this year, I got Pfizer, that there will be a Pfizer booster, as there will be a Moderna booster, and we'll take it. Another reason why you should not laminate your vaccination cards, because you want somebody to put on there when that other 3rd jab is administered. Okay. I'm going down here. Stacy says, if you're in Southern California, fly out of Tijuana Airport all over Mexico, no COVID testing, just need your ID. That's true. But there's another reason why you want to fly out of Tijuana. It's called the Cross-Border Express. Anybody know it? Coolest thing ever. They built a bridge it's not a big bridge. You drive your car to the border, you park it, and you walk about 900 feet over the Cross-Border Express bridge, and you clear customs and immigration, and where are you? You're in the terminal of the Tijuana Airport. And from there, you can fly anywhere. And the fares are unbelievable. Do you know what the fare is from Tijuana to JFK? I've seen it as low as $63. And you're not on a bus, you're on an airline. And a very good airline too, by the way, Volaris. They have figured it out. And until the COVID hit, they had flights from Tijuana to Beijing. Not Volaris, but other airlines. I mean, it's a great alternative, and the folks who live in San Diego know this. At least the smart ones do. Okay. Did I need both a test and my vaccine certificate for Turkey, or just one or the other? I have to tell you, they're asking for both. They're asking for both. We have global entry and assuming that it takes the place of TSA PreCheck. It does not, no. If you get global entry, it includes TSA PreCheck. Two are very simple, very different things. Global entry is the card that you can use, or the membership that you have, that allows you to clear immigration and customs very quickly using those kiosks when you come back from an overseas flight. TSA PreCheck is what you do when you're flying from Cleveland to Omaha to get on a presumably shorter security line, not have to take your computer out of your bag, not have to remove your suit jacket, and not have to take off your shoes. Two different things, okay? But for those of you who have TSA PreCheck, you already know some of the frustrations we've been having even before the pandemic, that those PreCheck lines can sometimes be longer than the regular lines. How do I get around that? Clear. For those of you who know Clear, I'm telling you, I love it. It works. It absolutely works. And what it does is it's a biometric system that reads your eyes, gets you approved right away, and then they take you to the front of the PreCheck line, and you're gone. That's the deal. It's not that expensive if you amortize how many times you're going to fly or how much your time is worth to you. So I'm a huge supporter of Clear, I got to tell you. And by the way, it's not at all the airports, but it's at many of the major ones. And now it's at sporting events, it's at music concerts. It really does the trick in terms of security and getting you through fast. Okay, hold on a second. I'm scrolling up here. Hold on, many more questions coming in. Bear with me, guys. Okay, what's the shortest time frame you've seen for NCL to cancel cruises? You mean recently? Pretty short. But now, they have 28 ships at NCL in all of their lines, and they have 8 that are going to be operating by the end of this month. They'll have another, it'll go up to 18 by the end of September, October, and then by next year, all 28. I know NCL is sailing to Alaska right now, and they're also sailing from Greece. And Barb is saying, I noticed that Spain and Greece are now in the State Department do not travel list. Thoughts? You know my thoughts. Stop it already. If you want to tell me not to travel to Spain because I'll be shot on arrival, I think I won't go. But if you're telling me not to travel to Spain because COVID is there, hey, COVID's in Wyoming. It doesn't stop me from going to Wyoming. Play by the rules, common sense, wear a mask where necessary. Wear a mask sometimes when it's not necessary. Get your vaccinations, right? I'm not making a political statement. I'm making a public health statement. Okay. Ellen says, I don't think the rental car situation will ease even in October. I didn't say October, I said November, because the electronic chips are in short supply. It's not about the chips. It's about the fleet size itself, okay? And also the demand. You see, it's going to stabilize out. In October and November, the demand drops, the supply increases, it evens out. Karen says, greetings from the Big Apple. Mr. Robert Landau says hello. One of the great photographers in the Western Hemisphere, Mr. Robert Landau, ladies and gentlemen. Sandy Collins says, okay, you saw my story, Sandy, about how you identify your bags. I know that we're getting very advanced now in baggage tags from the airlines with all the barcodes. I like it, but there's something else I always do if I'm checking a bag, and that is assume that the conveyor belt is going to eat that tag. And if it does, they're not going to know whose bag it is, right? So here's the 3 things you do. If you're going to put a regular bag ID tag on the outside of your bag, just put your name and your cell phone number, not your home address. That gives every baggage thief in the world a heads up that you're not home, number 1. Number 2, don't depend on the airline bag tag, but look at it to see that the 3-letter code is actually where you're going, right? MAD is not Madison, Wisconsin. It's Madrid. And number 3, take some duct tape. We're back to duct tape with an indelible big marker. And on the inside of the bag, write exactly the same that you did on the outside of your bag, your name and your phone number. So when that baggage tag gets eaten and they open up the bag, they still know it's yours. Okay? All right. How about Paris? Jane wants to know. I'm going to go next month. Does that answer your question? Okay. From Captain Jonathan Atkin, also a great photographer, by the way, but he likes to be known as Captain. That's another story. We have wonderful vineyards in Long Island's North Fork, as you know. Yes, you do. Great vineyards in North Fork, Long Island. Great vineyards here in Temecula. And here's the question for you, Mr. Know-It-All, Jonathan Atkins. What's the one state in America that doesn't make wine? 50 U.S. states, 49 of them do wine. Name the one state that doesn't. I'll wait for that answer. How about a Paris direct flight? Well, you know what? You're meaning nonstop. And Jane, you haven't told me where you're flying from. So if you do that, I might be able to help you. Dolores Brian Gevertz. You are old school, but I agree. And I know you're old school too. Let's hear it for rotary phones too, while we're at it. Nice to hear from you, Dolores. Okay. Jane's saying you're flying from LAX. Well, if you're flying from LAX, your nonstop flights are somewhat limited. There's the Air France flight, and I would choose, if you're looking for nonstop, I would do that one. Okay. If you're going from New York, there's an airline that was supposed to start service last year. They stopped because of the pandemic. They're back, and it's called French Bee. Check them out. They fly from New York to Paris, and they also fly from San Francisco to Tahiti. Very cool. Okay, let's see. I'm looking here. Oh, Patty Ford says, how is Qatar Airlines? They're the best. Oh my goodness. Look, there are two things you need to know about Qatar Air. One is about the airline itself, and the other is about the airport. There's a reason why it just got named the best airport in the world, Hamad International Airport in Doha. Unbelievable experience. You know, most of the time when I talk about airports, I don't want to go to an airport. I want to go through it. I'm not there for fine dining. I'm not there to entertain my friends. I'm not there for multiple orgasmic shopping. I just want to get on the plane and go. When you make an exception at an airport and you actually go there because you want to be there, wow. And HIA, otherwise known as Hamad International in Doha, is that airport. And if you happen to be flying business class on Qatar, their Q suites are unbelievable. Truly. I mean, I can't say enough about them. They're doing a great job. Colleen Casey says, I needed a paper printed boarding pass to board my plane from San Francisco to Frankfurt. It's a new boarding system at SFO. People who didn't have one had to leave the boarding line and then go print them out. My point exactly. Printed boarding passes. Thank you. Okay. Douglas is in Vail, Colorado. Hey, Doug, I will actually be in Denver in a couple of days. So let me know if you're going to be around. Okay, we'll keep going on. Hold on, we're going back up here. This thing keeps screaming and streaming and everything. Okay. Yeah, France says I do not travel. I don't buy it. Okay. Clear is not in Charlotte, which is a major airport. I know that. They're working on it. It's going to come soon. But look, wherever Clear is, I search them out. I mean, it's a system that works. Look, there are two systems right now I think are great. Global entry, U.S. government system, best thing to happen they've ever done, right? Who wants to stand in line for 2 hours after an 11-hour flight? This avoids that, and it doesn't compromise security in any way. And the second one is Clear. You know, when Clear first started, I was like, do I really need that? I have TSA PreCheck. Then I took a look at what was going on. I said, get me to Clear. Okay. Sonny says, Clear has always got us through security. Yep. Okay, there you go, Sonny. Welcome to Temecula again. Ellen's in Utah. Hi from Oklahoma from Gene. What about Aruba or the Maldives? I just got on. I apologize if this has been discussed. It hasn't. No problem with either Aruba or the Maldives. Okay. Here's Sandy saying, should we have hard copies of the CDC card and passport front page in luggage besides on the phone? You bet. You bet. And Gina says, old school rocks. You bet. And Patty loves Qatar. Okay. Let me go back up here for a second. I'm going back up here. Okay. Colleen guessed it's probably too cold in Alaska to grow grapes to make wine. You're incorrect, Colleen. Remember, I said there are 49 states in America that make wine. Alaska happens to be one of them. So which state doesn't? I'm still waiting for your answers. Okay. Terry says, I just applied for renewal of my global entry and got approval in less than 24 hours. How about that? I'm calling Guinness Book of World Records just for you. That's unbelievable. That doesn't happen very often. I'm going over here. Hold on. Okay, Gail Huber says, just curious, since you're on the road so much, does your family travel with you? Actually, no, Gail, I just go from city to city denying paternity. I'm kidding. My wonderful, amazing wife, Hande, without whom I couldn't even be here today, travels with me just about everywhere we go, and also works on a lot of our productions. So otherwise, if you had my travel schedule, you wouldn't have a relationship. So I'm so thankful that I do have a relationship with an amazing, wonderful, loving, nurturing, and she's not here, I'm just saying this, caring wife who thankfully to me is a road warrior as well. Okay, you want to know how to get the QR code for these different countries? They have websites, you go online. It's a government entity thing. And many of the airlines that you're flying on will refer you to those websites to help you through that. And Daniel Lewis says, global entry and clear are my saving graces. I'm glad you agree, Danielle. Oh, by the way, let's go talk about the photo of the week. I love this photo. It was sent in by Joseph Lopez. Let's put it up. It's going to come up now. Now, anybody want to know what that is? Take a moment, look at it. And this is why we picked it. All right. It was taken by Joseph in Germany. You know what it is? It's garbage. It's how they collect their garbage in public places in Germany. You can't get neater garbage than that. I mean, look at this. It's so well organized. It looks like it's even color coordinated. Welcome to German garbage, ladies and gentlemen. But it's a travel component, right? And I just want to say, hats off to Joseph for taking the picture and reminding us that we can be neat when we travel. The beautiful German garbage, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a photo that you think qualifies as the photo of the week, and it doesn't have to be garbage, but we just thought this is funny enough to do it, please send it in, peter@petergreenberg.com, and we'll post it right here online. Let's go to some of your travel questions that you asked during the week. Here's one from Daniel. I'm about to get vaccinated. AstraZeneca vaccine. I have read the U.S. government wants to restrict the entrance of people vaccinated with a vaccine not approved by the FAA. So is this true? And should I wait till I can get the Pfizer vaccine? My understanding is what you just said was right. And if you have a choice between the AstraZeneca and the Pfizer or the Moderna or even the Johnson & Johnson, I would go with those for the moment. Now, there may come a point where the U.S. does recognize AstraZeneca, and when they do, you're going to see the reciprocity kick in, and vaccinated travelers from overseas will be allowed into the U.S. Right now, that's not happening, and the hang-up is the approval of those two vaccines, right? The AstraZeneca and the Sino vaccine. Okay. Kathleen from South Carolina, my passport process started July 8th. How can I speed up the process? Well, you can't right now. You've already started the process, and you only started it a month ago. The question is, Kathleen, let me know, when do you need to travel? Not when you want to travel at this point. When do you need to travel? And maybe there's a plan B there. But right now, it's in the system. It's going to have to wait a little bit. Denise says, I realize there's a staff shortage. I actually applied for a flight attendant position with Spirit and haven't heard back from them. Are they also delayed in interviews? Spirit's delayed in everything right now. The irony here is they're delayed in interviewing prospective flight attendants because they don't have enough flight attendants. You get it? Crazy, right? Gina, would I have any concerns with traveling to Budapest these days for travelers from Romania to Budapest with Viking in September? And the answer is, as my answer always is, not counting whatever pre-existing medical conditions you might have, no, I'm not concerned at all. As long as you're vaccinated, you can show proof of vaccination, you understand you may get tested, and you're going to wear your mask where necessary, you should have a great time. Audrey says, I'm looking into flying in October, a Spirit Airlines flight. Do I think the delays will end by then? Yes, I do. I categorically do, because, once again, things are going to balance. They're going to reduce their schedule, which they would normally do in the third quarter anyway, but they're going to do it even more now because they added so much to it to begin with. And then the number of people traveling will be decreased because it's, by definition, it's the third quarter. Okay. Michael says, would I recommend trying for an Uber or a taxi now at LAX? Well, LAX is a mess when it comes to ground transportation. They move the taxi lots way over somewhere else. It's a big pain in the ass. And Uber, in many cases these days, not all, because there is some surge pricing issues, but in many cases, they're about $3 to $4 on short trips and maybe $8 or $9 on longer trips, a little higher than the taxi, but they're faster. And after a long flight, I don't want to have to walk over or take a shuttle bus to get to a line, to get to another line, to get to a taxi. At LAX, they have some Uber pickups in the center island, and they're pretty good about it. Okay, Susan, how is cruising in Alaska right now? My understanding is it's great. You don't need a passport. You're not stopping in a foreign port, otherwise known as Canada, and you can basically go from the U.S. directly to Juneau and other ports in Alaska, and it's been working out great. In fact, it's working out so great that a number of the cruise lines are considering avoiding Canada altogether on some upcoming cruise schedules for next year, which will give them more time to spend in Alaska, maybe even an overnight or two, which they would normally not get to do because they'd have to stop in a Canadian port. Keep in mind the Canadian ports are still closed. They will stay closed until a decision date in November, which is somewhat immaterial because nobody's cruising in Alaska or Canada in November anyway. The key is what's going to happen next year. And my guess is, even when the Canadian ports open next year, a lot of cruise lines will give you an alternative itinerary that may not even include Canada. So instead of starting the cruise in Vancouver, you might just actually start it in Seattle, LA, or San Diego. Okay. Steve says, I have a trip booked to Iceland in the next couple of weeks, but saw that the CDC moved it to the highest level 4. Do you think I should still go? I'm vaccinated. All right. Everybody repeat after me. You know the answer. Yes. Okay. So those are your questions. Let me remind you of a few more housekeeping things. The website again, petergreenberg.com. If I didn't get to your question today, you can email me to peter@petergreenberg.com. The radio show, which will be 2 days from now, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll also be featuring my conversation with the chairman and CEO of Norwegian Cruise Lines, Frank Del Rio, on their recent court win against the state of Florida. Information that's going to apply to cruises everywhere. So check that out. Before I leave, nobody guessed the answer on the wine. Nobody. I'm going to scroll down and see if anybody guessed it. And the answer is nobody guessed it. Some of you, Angel said Utah. No, Utah doesn't. I'm thinking Sandy Collins says, great praise for my wife. Absolutely, and I'll tell you said so. Make sure your wife hears that tribute you made to her. She hears it every day, by the way. I just didn't do it on the air. Okay, so now, since nobody guessed it, I'm going to tell you. It's North Dakota. Ta-da! So if somebody offers you a Bismarck varietal, they're lying. Anyway, now you know. So guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you next week from a different location that also starts with T. Who knew? Okay, you'll find out. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching again. Eye on Travel, the radio show, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. petergreenberg.com, the website. And of course, you can always email at any time to peter@petergreenberg.com. Thank you for watching. Travel safely. Let's hope it gets better. I think it will, but it may take some time. Thanks, guys.